This is genius.
This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to The Gritty Bowman.
I've never seen so many mullets in my life.
No, it's just about feeling good.
You had more chins than a Chinese phone book for a while.
Man.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah. I mean, he said, Goonies never say die. We're going.
We got this.
All right.
I was pulling the trigger, but the safety was on.
I just Randy Black Eagle.
That's it. Boom.
That's my.
That's how we roll. Just drop the mic and walk away.
On this episode of Gritty Bowman, we hang out with Corey Jacobsen of Elk 101, Kody Kellom of Full Draw Film Tour and Born and Raised Outdoors, and our mutual friend Clint Radford, elk hunter, blacktail hunter, high school teacher, Sitka gear junkie, and family man. On this podcast, we finally talk about hashtag Project Success, or rather, UEH, the University of Elk Hunting. This is Corey's new online hunting course. The course is the culmination of 30 years of elk hunting experience. In fact, the course is more than 120,000 words, has more than 70 video components, and hundreds of diagrams and images. This course is seriously awesome. Clint tells us about his thoughts on the training course, and this podcast can't help but come off as a giant sales pitch to get you to buy the online course. And even though that's kind of what this podcast is, it's also way more than that. I really do believe that this course is worth every penny to every elk hunter out there. And shamelessly, I would love to see Corey get wildly rewarded for the work he's put into this course and for the knowledge he freely shares to help elk hunters across the world find greater success year after year in the elk woods. Corey has worked his butt off to make this online course come to life. So sit back, listen to the show, and if you like what you've heard, do yourself a solid and enroll in UEH. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowman podcast. I'm actually in Roseburg, Oregon, with Kody Kellom here from Full Draw Film Tour and Born and Raised Outdoors, and we are in the Full Draw Film Tour studio, Born and Raised?
Yeah, Born and Raised, Full Draw studio. Got a little podcast set up. We also have some stuff here to shoot some video and whiteboard.
And I can tell you with some certainty that Kody's technical game is above mine. But anyway, we are joined with by Corey Jacobsen with elk101.com and Clint Radford, Sitka addict and elk hunter and so on, and online. You're Clint. I ran into you through social media, and really appreciate from the first time I put a video out and a post. You know, you're right there cheering me on. So very much appreciate it.
Cheer on the good guy. Yeah.
And it turns out I was talking to Kody. We wanted to have you on the podcast today because we're going to talk to Corey about elk. What is it? Elk hunting.
Elk hunting.
University
of Elk Hunting.
Yep.
So University of UEH. UEH. University of Elk Hunting. And it basically, you've taken the class, you've taken the course online, and Corey, you just launched it. And what we wanted to do is debut it on the Gritty Bowman to all the Gritty Bowman listeners. Let them get a feel for what it is that they're in store for if they want to get it and get into that. And so we wanted to bring someone on that wasn't part of Elk 101 because Kody and I are both part of elk101.com with Corey, and Corey, of course, is completely biased. But Clint, you're kind of this guy off on the side that's just loves to hunt and isn't being paid to say anything.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. I want to say, first of all, that, you know, this course is as comprehensive as you're going to get on elk hunting. I mean, it has from the beginning planning, how to get tags to all the way through to setup, to processing your animal as far as breaking it down in the woods, packing out. So it covers a gamut of topics. And I think we've all been around elk hunters that consistently are successful every year. They're just successful in the woods. And there's a lot of people that always wonder, well, man, how do they do it? I know some buddies locally that are pretty consistent, and friends of mine always, man, I want to put a GPS unit on their truck. I want to follow them around. I want to know what they're doing because they're not as successful. And, Corey is, world-renowned elk caller, but he proves it in the woods every year with the elk that he harvests in multiple states. And he breaks it down from the beginning to the end of what a successful elk hunter is, what it takes. And, if you've ever wondered what that takes, this course is going to line you out, and it's going to make you a better elk hunter. And so that's the kind of overview of what I got. Each module goes into a lot of detail. So,
so Clint, so people so for people who don't know who you are,
okay, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how long have you been hunting? Where you live?
Yeah, I live in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Not a elk mecca by any means. Southern Oregon,
more of a desert, non-existent of elk. Right?
High desert, yeah. I've been chasing elk since I was, past my hunter safety, 12 years old. We raised kind of going rifle hunting. We would go years where you wouldn't see an elk. My dad would kind of set us up on spots and we just kind of sit. And sometimes they drive through and do those kinds of things. So I was raised predominantly rifle elk hunting. And I'm a high school teacher, teach science at a local high school. So when the fall comes around, I'm kind of limited in how much time I get to spend. I don't get to spend 30 days out in the woods. So I came across Corey and his stuff after 2010 season. My hunting partner and I had switched to bow 4 years prior. And man, we just were not successful. I mean, we'd hear elk. They would wander away. We wouldn't know what we're doing. We were excited just to get encounters with elk. And I started like, man, if we get an elk on the ground, what are we going to do? We're back in the woods. I don't know what's the processing, I mean, I'd killed elk before growing up, but just never packed anything out on my back, never done any of those things. And I came across his website, Elk 101, in 2010 because I literally typed in, how to quarter out an elk. I didn't know at that time. We'd always just gutted elk. And so, and Corey, he's one of those good guys that I was kind of talking about earlier.
I don't know. I got a text from Dirk the other day saying, stop interviewing Corey. Elk don't move around at night. They don't bugle in certain places. So I don't know. It depends on which side you're on, whether Corey's a good guy or a bad guy. He's giving away all the secrets.
He is, yeah.
And I try really hard to be a good guy. And here lately, I've been getting some hate mail, which hurts my feelings. But yeah, it's been the same thing. People saying, "Why are you giving this information away? You're going to ruin elk hunting. Everyone's going to go out, and success rates are going to be 100%." And man, that's not how I see it. But
yeah,
everyone has their opinion.
I was going to say, with all the years of hunting and practice, and that for me that I spent out in the woods. It's a struggle every year to try to kill an elk with lots of years of effort. So
and there's nothing given no matter what. That's just it.
It's like you can teach people all you want, but at the end of the day, it's not like sharing the information guarantees success. There's a whole other component out there that's required. So, but still, I think it's neat because it does help people, though. I mean, it shortens that learning curve a lot. I remember, I've said this before, going to see Jim Horn give a lecture over at Sportsman's Warehouse, and getting there and him talking about how to bugle. And I put a reed in my mouth and I tried, and I bought his little DVD or his little CD.
Silent elk calling.
Silent elk calling techniques. And I popped that sucker in, and dude, I listened to it all summer, and I tried to make every sound he could make. And it definitely helped me. Come season, we called in a whole bunch of elk. We just missed them. But
that
it was
when you emptied your quiver.
That's when I emptied my quiver. That had a whole other thing to it. Like, I've been shooting a bow for a couple years with like a 30-inch draw. And just so you know, I have a 27 and 28-inch now. So, I mean, it was like
the inch draw, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really awkward setup, but
yeah.
I just didn't know what I was doing. But you get out there and you do it and you learn. So
I connected with Corey on Elk 101 and also Dirk. I was going to mention him. The hands of Night Force, not the face, right? He put stuff to anyway. They were both very willing to give advice and help and stuff. And that next fall, and also I bought the same CDs for calling. Jim Horns, and I also bought Steve Chappell's just his elk sounds, that CD, and just tried to mimic them. And so up until then, my hunting partner was the only one that called, and so that was a big thing for our success. That next year, we got our first bull on the ground, and I do say we because it is a group effort, man. My hunting partner Jeremy, we wouldn't have had this success if we were trying to do this on our own. But yeah, that learning curve really took off when I really looked on Elk 101, asked veteran hunters questions and stuff. And, instead of now trying to contact people, Corey's put it all into one thing with this University of Elk Hunting. It's all right there. And I think, I was going through it, and my wife was sitting on the couch next to me. She was asking me, so did Corey do a good job? And I said, man, honey, I wish I had this when I first started elk hunting. It would have made things a lot easier. And, and as I progressed throughout the modules, as for the next 4 seasons, we harvested 6 elk between us. And we're hunting local. We're hunting in Southern Oregon. Again, not the elk mecca of the world. It's all public land. We've had tons of pressure, and we've just learned tricks, learned our hunting area, and we've learned, kind of what the elk habits are doing. And I think that kind of goes with one module that kind of stuck out to me, Corey, was the hunting knowledge, elk knowledge. And what was it? How did that turn out on your survey?
For me, elk hunting knowledge is one of those things that you have to be successful.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it comes through experience, but there's a lot of things that you can learn in a online course type setting that shortens that learning curve, that when you're out there and you see it happen, it clicks. It's like, okay, I understand what's going on. Whereas if you don't know, why are the elk doing what they're doing? Why are they moving first thing in the morning? Where are they going to bed? Why are they hanging out there? All of these things, as you start to put the pieces together, it's really a pretty simple formula what the elk are doing. They're just trying to survive, and they're using their senses to do that. And when you break it down and look at how their movements are centered around thermals, how their movements are centered around keeping alive and staying alive and just surviving out in the elements, knowing their strongholds as their predator, as the hunter, is incredibly important. So in that survey we did, elk hunting knowledge for veteran elk hunters who were consistently successful, that elk hunting knowledge was number 1.
Yeah.
And for those who weren't consistently successful, it was down as low as number 3 or number 4. And so, we talk about it in that module, that it's something that's super important to understand as we go through and talk about what an elk does throughout the year, the life of an elk in a year, how their migrations, all of those things happen, the birthing of the calves, how that's important for where the rut takes place. And then we go through the life of an elk in a day and talk about what the elk are doing cyclically throughout the day, where they're feeding in the morning, how they travel to bedding areas when they come back, and how we can, use that information to make our hunts more successful and give us a higher chance of success.
So, Kody's having flashbacks here. I'm very curious, for a long time. So, Kody, you've been with Born and Raised, hunting with, your guys for a long time. And I know as you're listening to this, you're thinking to yourself about what each guy could really learn from this to make them help you get an elk better.
Right, yeah, because it's all about
all about them getting better to help you.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's I think with all these modules, going through it, there's so many different aspects of a hunt that can unfold, and the lessons that a veteran like Corey and some of the guys that's contributed to this course, like all these lessons have been outlaid, compiled, and put into one piece that, like Clint said, years and years and years of experience that contribute to success year after year after year. And I don't think there's a better way to, you can't, it's going to cost you time and money to learn these things. And the only way to do that elsewhere, I think, you can sit through seminars and that, but where all these modules break down what Corey's course is, it's priceless, I think, in what he has to offer.
When we were offline before we started this, I asked what's the difference between this course and the Elk University DVD that Corey came out with, and what's the difference between this course and the myriad of podcasts that come out where we talk about strategy and answer a lot of these questions. What's the difference?
For me, you go. Sorry, Clint. I was just going to say this has been a major undertaking. I've done seminars now for about 10 years. I've done DVDs. You mentioned the University of Elk Hunting DVD, which we put out 3 or 4 years ago. The seminars are very topic specific. We have 30 or 40 minutes to cram as much information into that and then leave some time for questions. And so we're talking about, calling strategy. Here is one calling strategy that works, or top 3 things we can do to build confidence to be more successful. So it's a very concise, short overview in a seminar. With the DVD, that was basically just a 3-hour seminar that we took and condensed into a DVD. So again, it was a surface level, got into some good topics, but we didn't get into a ton of detail. We just didn't have time. With the DVD, you're limited, the format's limiting. And so when I started down this road of let's develop an online course, the education world is exploding right now. The internet is there at your fingertips. You can learn anything you want to learn. And there's no resource out there that pulls all the information into one place on learning to be a successful elk hunter. So that was the goal. Literally, I sent out emails and surveys, and we've got 20 successful elk hunters on the Elk 101 Pro staff. I hit them up continually. What are some thoughts, some topics, ideas? What am I missing? And I had a list of 300 and some topics that basically melded into this course. And we broke it into, from the very basics, starting with planning a hunt. For someone who's never been on a hunt before, they might not have a clue how to even get an elk tag or what it takes to go on an elk hunt, what the seasons are, how that aligns with weapons. So we go through all of that. And then into scouting, how to find elk, how to find elk with Google Earth. That was one of my favorite pieces, was sitting down and scouting for an actual hunt this fall. I actually sat down and spent 30 minutes on the computer going through Google Earth and talking out loud of what I was looking for, marking it, showing how to do all that. And so I guess the difference is this is the most comprehensive, the most in-depth, detailed resource that I could think of to put together that covers every topic imaginable, a whole bunch of topics that aren't even imaginable, and puts it all in one place for everyone to access.
So one thing I did like about the Elk Hunting University was the use of video, pictures, diagrams, and that sort of thing. Is that also available? Tell me what the curriculum looks like, Clint.
So he's set up, 14 different modules, right, Corey?
Yeah, with an introduction and a conclusion.
So you log in, and there will be an introduction video about what that module is about. Then you go into it, and there's usually a good shoot. I don't know how many words. It's very detailed, each module, but it has, you know, the written words, and he has awesome pictures. My daughter loved how, Gabrielle must have set it up this way. It's pretty slick. When you scroll, the picture kind of stays in the middle. My daughter's like, "Ooh, that's cool." She just turned 7 today, so I got to give her a shout out. But anyway,
happy birthday, Nora.
Yeah. So, and then within that, he'll have videos that are embedded. And, you know, how many hours total or minutes total do you have a video in this, Corey?
You know, I don't know the total hours of video. There's, I think, 76 or 77 different video components within the course. Some of them are 20 minutes long. Some of them are only 6 or 7 minutes. But yeah, it'll take you a few hours just to sit down and watch only the video components.
Yeah. And one thing that I like about his videos is he'll give, like, the use of the diaphragm, for example. He'll explain how to use the proper way to use it, and then he will have footage of actual elk hunts to show how the techniques and how everything worked out in a particular hunt. You know, the one thing that I remember was you're trying to drive home the point about having a caller, and when you set up the camera, where if you would have had a caller shooter situation, you would have been able to kill that bull because he wouldn't come in. And he shows that video. He shows real footage. And
so in that particular video, you know, I think there's 8 different calling tactics or techniques that are covered in one of the chapters. Very detailed, a lot of options. I don't just say, hey, here's my go-to. I definitely cover my go-to calling sequence, but there's 7 or 8 other alternate sequences. And so in that one, it was the retreat, you know, where you have a caller basically behind, and he goes up and pushes the elk and gets right in the elk's face, and then basically retreats a little bit to pull that elk into a setup where you're, you know, just in that face-off where the elk won't come in. And so I was hunting by myself last year and just had the camera there and could not get this bull to break loose. So I set, you know, the camera guy just said, stay right here. I'm going to move back 50 yards and call and do that tactic. And it worked. I mean, within 30 seconds, the bull walks 15 yards from the camera guy and stands in that opening. Had we had a caller shooter setup, it would have been a slam dunk. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of videos that, you know, even if it's just for entertainment, but they definitely illustrate the point we're trying to make and show, I guess, in the field how to utilize the different tactics.
One thing I want to touch on real quick, just on what Corey was talking about, and the first time I heard Corey talk about elk hunting was at Northwest Mountain Challenge at Bogus. It used to be Bogus. And all of us born and raised crew were standing there, and we'd never heard Corey talk about hunting or what, you know, how he killed elk. And he starts going through his tactics and what he's talking about. And it was like, here we are on the Oregon coast in complete different terrain, complete different species, and everything he's talking about, it's like, that's what that's what we've learned to do ourselves just in the case of it. So it's like, elk hunting is elk hunting. It doesn't matter if you're in the Rockies or in, you know, some of these other states. It doesn't matter, Rockies or Rosies. There's certain things that work, and, you know, I think that's where his book of knowledge, and he's combined with concerted efforts with everyone, that he nails it like top notch. I mean, I don't think you could improve on what kind of content's in here. So,
and I, you know, one of the things I set out when I realized I want to go down this path as a career, as, you know, what I do, I want to be in the elk hunting industry. And one of those things that I saw was I need experience in different terrains, different situations, rifle, archery, all of that, because it's really easy to have a niche. It's really easy to be good at one thing and to be able to say, hey, I'm good at killing elk on public land in Idaho, but does that really translate to killing an elk in Arizona or killing an elk, you know, on the coast in Oregon? And so I have a goal to hunt all 10 of the western states that have elk. And this season, you know, Randy Newberg and I drew a tag in New Mexico, and that'll be number 8 of the 10 western states. So, you know, I have hunted a lot of different areas. I'm still limited by time and budget like everyone else, but my goal is to try a different state each year that I can draw a tag if I have to, or go there. So I have that experience in different areas, and there are differences. And we talk about that in the course. If you're hunting the dry, arid desert states of Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, southern Utah, some of that, it's going to be different than if you're hunting, northern Idaho, northwest Montana, northeast Oregon, some of those places. There are differences there, and so we go into that. And I think more than just pointing out those differences, explaining to people in a way that they get it, that they understand not just how to do something, but why to do it. And when it sinks in at that level and they understand it at that level, they can apply it over a full gamut of situations and experiences. That's not going to be situational. It's going to be a very detailed platform that they can build success off of, no matter where they're hunting or what they're hunting.
I was going to say something, add to this, to pump your tires a little more, Corey, that there's a lot of people that have skill and that have knowledge and so forth about elk hunting, but communicating that and putting it into like a structure and, like doing a seminar, for example, not everybody can do that and do it concisely and clear. And you're a favorite guest on the Gritty Bowman podcast. People are always asking for more Corey podcasts and always want to pick his brain. And I think part of that's because, there's some people who are good at teaching, good at conveying information. And Corey, you do a good job with that. So I think the courses are going to be, with a lifetime of doing this now. Now you're at a point where it's culminating into this course, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, a few months back. Online courses aren't cheap. I mean, if you want to learn how to run a computer or do video editing or stuff like that, it gets pretty expensive. And so this course, it's actually quite affordable. So how did we come to this? Yeah, very reasonable. It's kind of dumb if you don't go out and buy the course. It's so cheap.
I agree.
Kody and we've talked quite a bit, and Kody's mentored me a bit on online courses and what he's learned and studied. And his suggestion to me was, and this was passed on from someone else to him, but don't think about selling it for less than $297. That's for the information that's there. That's base minimum.
Corey's such an idiot. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's still.
Did I say that out loud?
and I think we agree. Hunters are skeptical. You aren't going to lay something out there and say you need to pay me $300 to tap into my knowledge and experience. They're going to be very skeptical. We saw it when we published Extreme Elk Magazine. It's hard to get $20 a year out of an elk hunter because do they need it? Do they really need it? And so the price that we set on there, it's $99 for the course, which, that's a couple tanks of gas. And the information you're going to get, I think, is going to be more valuable than 2 trips scouting. It's more valuable than a dozen arrows. It's more, whatever it is, $99 when you look at it in the scheme of what we're buying each year in elk hunting gear and tags and everything is very minimal. And in my opinion, there's no greater tool or weapon that you have when you step in the woods than what's in between your ears and that knowledge. And knowledge does equal success in not only in elk hunting, but in anything you're going into. So if I have presented the information in a way that teaches and educates and informs and inspires and helps someone and it clicks with them, that $99 investment is going to pay off far more than any other amount of gear that they're going to purchase. And then obviously through the special we're doing with Brian and Gritty Bowman, you've got an opportunity to save $40 on that course here for a limited time. So $59 a tank of gas to get this knowledge. I see value, I see benefit, but ultimately it's going to be up to people like Clint who take the course. And Clint, was it worth $59?
No question. And, let me go back to kind of, when I was saying that I met you on Elk 101 and all that stuff, I mean, I do attribute our success to Corey and Dirk being able to share their knowledge, sharing what, their experiences. and now it's all condensed down into the University of Elk Hunting. And man, I don't know if you can put a price tag on that. I mean, what's more fun than setting up on an elk, getting the arrow where you want it to be, tagging out? I mean, there's nothing better than that. And this is going to make your learning curve that much quicker. I look at how we used to set up on elk. We didn't, obey the wind. We didn't know what we were doing, basically. So being able to go through a course like this and to get those, that knowledge, it is invaluable. So,
that's just it. The priceless factor of it, of not only the monetary side of it, but the time, which is worth everything. I mean, the lessons that it would take to learn that. You've got how many years experience in the contribution of this. It's not, you can't put a price tag on it, but it's and
for $59, it's kind of a no-brainer. So the course is normally $99, but right now you can get it with the code GRIDDY40 for $59.
Yep. So save you $40.
Yeah. And
someone, I was just going to say that, you could save a tank of gas by going through the module, seeing how Corey uses Google Earth to scout. He goes through good detail about, how to use Google Earth to your advantage, so that when you put boots on the ground, you can at least be in areas where you have the potential to find elk. I go back to when we were first starting, we're going out in the middle of, big timber, calling, trying to set up. We had no idea where elk would be, so we wasted time, money, effort doing all that stuff. Corey goes into great detail about how to find elk, what to look for, and very detailed on Google Earth. So, I mean, just that module alone, if you're starting out, that's going to save you some money right there. So.
And in addition, there have been articles on Google Earth. We're using it specifically for elk hunting. And so, like I mentioned, I sat down at the computer and picked out a spot that we legitimately are looking at hunting, and went through and said, here's what I look for: access, bedding areas, and showed what it looks like on Google Earth. But I think even more importantly are some of the details as far as how to maximize the use of Google Earth, how to pull up different years and different months of maps and aerial images, so you can find out if there's water there in August and September, how to put place marks on Google Earth and then transfer those to your GPS so you can locate water, put it on your GPS, and then walk out there in the field and be right there and not look around and say, man, I thought there was a water hole right here. And so a lot of those little details that, we could do a seminar on how to use Google Earth, but to get into that level of detail and demonstrate it and illustrate it through images and all that, this platform just really lends itself to education and to learning.
And as an educator, I do want to say that Corey is an exceptional teacher. I mean, you look at the different modalities of learning and everything. In the course, he has the visual, he has the audio, it hits all of those modalities as well. So it's good stuff.
And I'm not an educator. I'm not a teacher. I think the thing that I guess presents it is I have a passion to see people succeed. And there is no thrill, like Brian and Kody mentioned, just being able to set up and have that bull scream in your face and come in. There's not a price you can put on that experience. And I want everybody to experience that. I'm not selfish in elk hunting. I'm certainly not going to tell you exactly where I elk hunt. But if I can share with you a way that you can go find your own area and be successful, I want nothing more than to have people enjoy that success.
We're here in this office here, and Trent Fisher from Born and Raised is over here, and he mentioned something that I totally agree with, is confidence. When you go out into the elk woods, Aaron and I have been talking recently about how people quit. They spend all year preparing for an elk hunt, and they go into the woods for 2, 3, 4 days, and then they go home when they had a 14-day hunt planned because things don't go as planned. Or when you're in a setup and you stop calling because you're not confident that you're doing it right. Well, for $59, you get in there and you get some knowledge, and knowledge is confidence. It allows you to go out there and stay out there and just keep pushing it, even though you're like, is this working? Is this working? No, I learned this. I know it works. I just got to keep applying it.
Yeah. No, and you nailed it. I think, Clint, you might have to remind me, but I'm pretty sure I put in one of the modules in bold letters, knowledge equals confidence and confidence equals success. And after typing 120,000 words, basically writing 2 novels for this course, I can't guarantee it's in there, and I can't tell you exactly where it is, but
I think it might have been in the conclusion, if I remember. It might, yeah. Lots of stuff there, that's for sure. One thing, Brian, that they have a workout too. People are trying to get geared up for elk season, hitting the gym a little bit harder. I want to ask you, Brian, how did you get a word in edgewise on Anthony?
Anthony's a chatterbox in the gym, isn't he?
I don't know. I do my best.
You just
what I really want to know is, how did you keep him awake? I mean, I was there. I was falling asleep, but I was behind the camera. Poor Anthony he was a zombie there. When you told him lift, he's like,
no.
He'd go through the motion, but he was out of it, man. He was asleep.
No. That's all good stuff. My background is in exercise science, and I do appreciate in the workout modules you guys show the different lifts that people might not know if it's just in written words. You talk about the proper technique, Brian, on the lifts that you guys demonstrate and stuff. So, and then I enjoy Russ, man. He's just out there just grinding. And, I think, like when I used to take my daughter to the park and she'd play around, I just do pull-ups on the gym equipment, and you just do what you can in some of those times. And I appreciate Russ just showing that different variety that you can get a workout in pretty much anywhere. So
yeah, I thought that was cool when Corey talked to us about it, different Elk 101 pro staffers, and said, hey, I want to get this, getting physically fit for the hunt is part of preparation and being successful. But then recognizing that there's a lot of different ways to be fit and in shape, and pulling from the whole team. Yeah. He's able to say, okay, well, this guy likes to do it this way, this guy likes to do it this way, and kind of group it all together and give people options as they go through this course on what kind of suits them and how they want to be in shape. And it really just is drawing from the experience of those on the staff that have been there and done that.
Totally. And for me, I've worked out for a long time, played basketball, a lot of things, weightlifting, the last 12, 15 years, and it's been very tailored to elk hunting, just the high intensity, not getting big, not bulking up, but just getting things working together. And I've always struggled with upper back pain in between the shoulder blades and neck pain, just always, going to a chiropractor, getting adjusted, and just struggling with that. And Brian showed me, basically the 4 lifts that he demonstrates in his section of the fitness portion. The 4 lifts he did, he spent some time with me showing me proper technique and everything. I implemented that. I took part of the Skousen's video that they did, and then some of Russ's, and I created my own workout based around that. But those 4 primary exercises are the base of my workout now, and 3 of them I had never done before and didn't think I could do and didn't like to do and thought they weren't going to benefit me, and they certainly don't make you look good in selfies. But I have no back pain. I have no neck pain. I feel like my entire core and everything is working better than it ever has. So, for me, someone who's been around athletics my whole life, who has been at the gym for the last 12 or 15 years, who has a focus of getting in elk shape and getting ready for elk season, spending a couple hours at the gym with Brian took it to another level and absolutely made me a better elk hunter.
That's cool.
Yeah. The tracking and blood trailing module too, Corey, he has pictures of an actual elk carcass in there, and I don't think people kind of realize the dimensions. And he has diagrams in there, talking about
The front shot?
The front shot. And just the different angles, like if you were to hit an elk and those different angles and stuff, like what the arrow can do, and that was another great module too. So.
Yeah, that was something that I've been getting emails about since we did the podcast with Corey, where we talked about it like for the 50th time on the front shot. And you took measurements. You actually took a carcass and did all this stuff at the butcher. All of that's in the video or in the training, and so people can see where to put that arrow on a front shot.
Totally. And I worked with two different artists and graphic designers to create the diagrams. I think both of them were ready to take a frontal shot on me because they would send it back over. I'm like, no, that rib is about a half inch too close to the other one. We need to move that rib. And they're like, you don't understand. This isn't just like a individual piece. I have to redo that whole layer. And so I have measurements, spacing between ribs, how far back the rib cage goes for the broadside shot. So we have overlays of the entire circulatory system showing where major veins and arteries are, showing where the heart and the lungs set, showing where all the vitals are, all the bone structure, all of that for a broadside shot. And we did the exact same thing on a frontal shot. So we have a frontal shot showing the thoracic opening, dimensionally proportionate, showing where the sternum comes up. There's a couple really cool images in there that we took when we were dissecting the elk and actually had the carcass there. And we were able to set an actual elk carcass up on a table and position it so that we could show different angles and everything. But the one that was really telling for me was the frontal shot. We basically dissected all of the meat off of the bones there and showed it sitting. And the big gap between, the leg bone, the shoulder blade, and the actual rib cage, you've got like 6 inches there of nothing but meat that if you hit there, you aren't getting inside the body cavity. You're getting full penetration. So you see that arrow bury you and you're like, dead elk. And he runs off and bleeds a couple drops and that's it. And so people that have had bad experiences with a frontal shot, they're going to be able to see exactly what went wrong. And my guess is they're shooting too low and maybe hit just a little bit on the outside. And the way that rib cage comes down almost in a V there's really a big void there to miss. And so seeing, where to aim on the elk with the elk overlaid on that and lining up that thoracic opening, all of those diagrams are in there as well as pictures with measurements and all of that.
I'm a big believer in the frontal shot. So
I swear, this year's Full Draw Film Tour, you look at Born and Raised film, and I swear it's just a montage of front shots, one after the other after the other.
There might be like 12 in a row in the first 30 seconds, but
like you're trying to make a point or something.
My dad is a rifle hunter, and my mom asked him how it was or whatever, and the first thing he said was, "When that bull bugled, and it just," and so that was pretty cool. He liked that a lot.
I have a question for you about the calling part. So you were just saying earlier that your hunting partner, or you didn't bugle for a long time. It was just your hunting partner.
First 4 years we hunted together. I was just kind of going along. I was maybe more interested in chasing deer, and we went out, and he just he learned how to hunt. He went to Boise State. We won't hold that against him. No, I'm just kidding. He had a guy that took time and taught him how to call and stuff. So we kind of use those same techniques here, and my knees we'd sit down for about 45 minutes, kind of do the silent routine almost that Jim Horn came up with, but my knees are killing me. We just sit down on the ground and we'd call. And so if we did call in some elk, during those times, but it wasn't until that we both and I committed that year, 2010, after not having success. I was just like, I need to commit to this, man. I'm sick of just hearing elk and getting glimpses of them. So I decided to get diaphragms and just start calling. And, being able to go through Corey's module now would have saved me a little bit more time of how to call, kind of the approach. But we've had a lot of success being able to locate get in, challenge, and get that emotion behind our calls to get the bulls to get mad to come in. So,
because like with my hunting partner, cousin Ben, he was a horrible caller. Still isn't that good. He does all right, but for a long time he didn't call at all. Like I did all the calling. So naturally, an elk is coming, and it's like, well, who gets to be the shooter and who gets to be the caller? It just sort of. I was an idiot. By default, by default, I kept having to drop back and
go back. Yeah.
So for anybody else that's in the same predicament, now their buddy can go take this course, and it's pretty good about getting somebody started on calling.
It's worth the money for you to pay for your hunting partner that's not calling, so that you can actually get your setup so that you can maybe get a shot.
So here's the really cool part about all this is we set up a referral program for the online course. Yeah. So if you refer your buddy and he puts your email address in the referral box when you sign up, we're going to give you 5 extra chances in the major gear giveaway drawings we're doing, but we're also going to send you a $10 gift card for each person that signs up that you refer to the Elk 101 store. So send 5 people over, they sign up, you get $50 at the Elk 101 store, you paid for the course. Plus, we're giving away $5,000 in elk hunting gear. So I basically took every piece of gear that I take with me into the elk woods, a bow, a backpack, boots, clothing, optics, calls, everything that I take with me elk hunting, we put together in a prize package, and we're giving that away. It's worth over $5,000. And we're also going to pick somebody to fly to Boise. We're going to pay for them to fly to Boise, stay in Boise, and spend a day just hanging out with me talking about elk hunting. So, Clint mentioned he I think it was 2010 when we did the big extreme elk event, 2011, somewhere in there.
That was, yes, it was 2010, I believe, yeah.
So Clint drove over from Klamath Falls to Boise for an event we put on there. That's actually when I first met him, and he actually brought me this really cool custom Elk 101 arm guard, which I keep right here close by, and it's awesome. But anyway, just having that time and it's not like I'm saying, hey, come hang out with me and I'm an expert, you're going to learn all this stuff. That's certainly not the point. But just to give somebody access to come and sit down and ask all the questions they want to. That's my favorite part of seminars or anything, is the Q&A afterwards, because I get to answer specific questions that people have about elk hunting, and that's making them a better elk hunter. And so we're giving away a free trip to Boise, which Boise, Idaho is not a vacation destination, but bring your bow, we'll shoot in my backyard and talk about elk hunting and all of that. So anyways, when you're talking about signing your buddies up, have them sign up, and we'll give you some money for the Elk 101 store.
That's a pretty
happy birthday, Nora.
Goose Corey says happy birthday. She's all excited. She's got a party later tonight.
Awesome.
No, I think that those incentives are pretty awesome. And then, I don't want to give the cat out of the bag either, but there are some other incentives embedded in the modules as well that can save you some money as well.
Totally. No, we've got an awesome deal with GoHunt.com. It just takes your planning and scouting a step further, and they've offered up some really cool incentives. We've got really, really steep discounts in the Elk 101 store for anybody who signs up. The coupon codes are in there. Onyx maps. What else am I missing? I know I'm probably missing some there. Oh, Exo backpacks. Mountain ops. So yeah, there's some pretty significant discounts in there that if you're going to buy a new backpack, it'll pay for the course just to sign up.
Yeah.
Dang, Corey, it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work.
And now today's the major partner launch day, so I'm excited to be promoting it and launching it out to the masses.
Also, yeah, one other thing I was thinking about too, when this comes out, Father's Day is right around the corner. It's like right there. If someone's looking for something to get someone for Father's Day, I think it'd be a perfect gift as well.
That's a great point.
So that's neat.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to say that, for all the Gritty Bowman listeners, go out there and do it just to support Corey. You've come on the podcast a bunch of times. You've shared your knowledge freely. You've come to you do the seminars, and you're always forthwith. with information about hunting elk, and it's just a quality person, the quality company. So I mean, just on that alone, it's not very much just to support a good person and what he's doing. But the course earns it as well. I mean, if it's arguably basically being given away at the price. So I'd say for all those out there that are listening that like the show, that are into elk hunting and otherwise, get out there and use Gritty 40 and download it. Get the show, get the training, and get started.
And I do want to, I hope that no one gets a misconception that this is basically for someone who's just starting out elk hunting. As you know, there are lots of things that a veteran elk hunter can pick up from this. I was kind of talking before we started that, it depends on where you're at in your elk hunting journey. If you're starting out, this is going to really give you a steep learning curve, but there are things that any elk hunter can pick up, so don't like shy away, like Corey was saying, not wanting to drop some money on this because, I've got this figured out. Man, we've had some success, and there's still stuff we mess up on, and there's always something that I could learn, and Corey's given, a lot of things that I'm going to try this year, so. Dude,
I'm going to take it, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to drive Anthony and Ben crazy, because I'm going to be like, well, in Elk Hunting University or University of Elk Hunting, they said this, and Corey said this, and Corey said that, and it's just going to be like, Corey's going to be a cuss word. I used to do the same thing, like, well, Cameron Haynes in Backcountry Hunting, he said la la la, and my buddies are like, shut up. So I think it's cool, though. Get out there and put some more arrows in your quiver of knowledge, get out there and learn.
You can never have too many arrows.
Yeah, right? and dude, like just the front shot, it's like just the info on that alone is, I mean, most people don't really know where to put the arrow.
No, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine that's a tremendously successful elk hunter, and he was hands down by far away and against shooting in frontal. And I'm like, if you educate yourself, I mean, he said, I've seen it once before and it didn't work out. And I'm like, if you educate yourself on the anatomy of elk, and so what I'm going to do is call Jeff up and say, hey, get Corey's course, get it now, and go straight to that module. And I mean, it'll be worth. I mean, yep. He's passed up some tremendous bulls that he could have killed, no doubt in my mind, because he wouldn't take that shot because he didn't have the knowledge base on it. So.
Yeah, and within that module, we show the anatomy and everything, but ultimately what we're trying to explain is where are the lethal shots, what are the blood trails you're going to get from different shots. So you can go up and say, man, we've got really limited spotty blood here, where did I probably hit, and be able to analyze that to know how to track it as you're going along there. And similar, you jump back to the calling module, it's not just calling tactics. There's two different modules. One is on using elk calls, another is on elk calling tactics. And so the using elk calls, I walk through everything. I mean, there is no reason someone can't be confident in their elk calling after going through this. It breaks it down in a very mechanical sense. It starts at the very basics and just layers on until you're making good sounding elk calls. And then we talk about, all the different calls that elk might make and what calls you need to make. And then we take that knowledge and jump into the actual elk calling tactics and how to make the sounds, what to do to build confidence when you're calling in the elk. So all of these different modules, it's not just, hey, there's a frontal shot diagram and a broadside diagram here. That's a very small portion of 3 chapters of actual tracking skills and information that are in there.
Yeah, one thing that stands out that you're talking about that, my hunting partner and I, when we've hit an animal, oftentimes we're both looking down, we're looking for blood here or there, rather than, and this is something I'm hoping we're going to do this year. The person behind us needs to be looking ahead what's going on, because you don't want to bump that elk out ahead of you. Just those little things, if you're a veteran elk hunter or have had success, those little reminders or those new little tricks and stuff are gonna benefit you. So,
plus you get a quick question: How do you have a hunting partner? How do you deal with a hunting partner that's colorblind? tracking elk. Is that you talk
You
about?
put him
that
back
Kellom?
behind to hang flagging in the tree.
Yeah.
No, that is Ty Stubblefield at his finest. Old 3-arrow is. I mean, it
You
is
just got to kill it within visual distance.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's colorblind,
That is
I
a
would
problem.
definitely recommend
He really-
the frontal shot.
Has a hard time seeing.
Oh, he's the worst. I mean, it is like the Niagara Falls right there, and he's like,
Dude, I'm
is
telling
that, is that? I think that's blood, right? I'm like, you can see it for 10 yards. I mean, it's like, yeah,
Kody,
he's
the guy
definitely
with the
one.
binoculars behind you. Yeah, look
Yeah.
at.
I mean,
Actually,
he used to
you
always
just
carry
put him back there with
peroxide
the
in his pack.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I say just put him back
Yeah.
there with the roll of flagging ribbon and
That's
let him
right.
mark the trees and the trail.
Yeah.
Well, let's get some closing thoughts here, Clint. Anything you want to say before we close out this show?
It's money well spent. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, it couldn't. I don't think you're going to find all of this information in one spot anywhere else. There's no doubt in my mind. So.
Kody.
Well, one thing I'd like to add is it's not just on the elk hunting and in Corey's course, but just Corey's personal, the relationship I've grown over the years. I mean, it's worth me to go out and buy it for 10 of my friends just to support Corey and what he's doing and see success in it. And he's really breaking the mold. I mean, there's nothing that's been done like this in the hunting industry. And I mean, it's hats off for him, taking that leap of faith. And I think it behooves everyone to go out and get on the course, and you're going to learn, you're going to grow from it. And if you feel like you don't need to grow for it, then you're probably not a good customer to have. So, I mean, that's...
Corey, what about you?
I'm humbled at the kind words. When I set out to do this, I didn't envision it being such a big project. It turned into an absolute monster. The Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation is the sole sponsor of the online course. They saw the vision behind it and said, this is absolutely content that we want to be able to promote. There's nothing like it out there. And, conservation is important. Hunter safety is important. But we turn all these people loose with hunting licenses and expect them to go out and be successful and continue that tradition of hunting. And it's hard to not be successful. It's hard to keep going year after year. I get emails all the time, provide me with motivation. Give me something here that's going to say you're going to be successful at some point, stick with it. I love to see people be successful. I love to see that spark lit and then turn into a fire. And so that's my passion for sharing this information, is to see others be successful. Not saying that I have all the answers. I'm still I think I'm a very immature student in this game, and I'm a student of the game and continue to learn. And if there's experiences that I can share that help others learn, that's what this is about. And, Brian, you've been very gracious at letting me be a guest on the Gritty Bowman podcast and share that passion. And so, use code GRITTY40 if you sign up for the course, and help support Brian and the podcast help support Elk 101, and it allows us to keep doing what we're doing and come out with this cool content that's our passion and hopefully is a benefit to someone.
Yeah, I think it's really important for the future of hunting, for the future of conservation, that hunter recruitment continues to grow. That as much as I hate that idea of having more guys want to hunt, I understand that it's only by inviting them in and giving them the tools to be successful and in growing that hunting community that we actually ensure the future of wild places and wild animals. So for me, it's a no-brainer. It's an act of unselfishness to get out and as a hunter and share your knowledge for the greater good of those wild places and those wild animals. So I think it's neat, and as much as some other people might universally hate Corey because of all this sharing of knowledge that gets more hunters in the woods, I think it's actually so important that we do.
And I'll just add to that, I really don't feel overall success rates are going to change. And the reason I say that is there is a pool of hunters out there every fall. That pool, yes, we're going to pull some new hunters in, I'm sure, but this course is tapping into that pool of existing hunters. The ones who want it, the ones who are going to work for it, the ones who are dedicated to being successful, they're going to be successful at some point. It might take 10, 15 years to consistently become successful. They're going to get there. The others who are looking for an easy success, this course isn't going to help them. I mean, yeah, it'll help them, but they still have to do the work. They still have to earn it. I don't care how much knowledge or experience or education you have when it comes to elk hunting. You still have to get out there. You have to put in the work, and you have to earn it. And I really think that this course is just going to accelerate those who want it and help them get it. Those who aren't willing to put in the work, they aren't going to change the success rates.
No doubt. And I think that this is the plan. And if you got to execute it. You have to get out there. You have to do it. And I don't think you're going to find a better plan that's laid out there for you to approach. So,
I think some people can get discouraged too early, too soon, because they don't feel like they have the knowledge or the resources. And that's what I don't want to see. I want to see people get out there, like you said, Corey, be successful. Maybe they don't get it done till year 3, 4, or 5, but each year they get closer and closer, and it keeps that fire going. What's sad is when someone goes out and says, I did it a couple of years and I never saw an elk. I don't want that to happen. I want them to just get bitten by the bug, and then it's their addiction. So it's pretty neat stuff. So just in the closing, make sure check out elk101.com. Type in the code GRITTY40 at checkout when you download the course, and go check out Full Draw Full Time, which is Kody's podcast with South Cox. Go do that.
Full Draw Film Tour.
The Full Draw Film Tour.
Yep. Full Draw Film Tour is like looking at the calendar right now. I am not going to be home the next 2 months, but it's good. Get to go meet some new bow hunters and veteran bow hunters and share stories and watch some good films.
So got that, and
then the other thing that's kind of fun, just real quick, Born and Raised Outdoors, we've been kind of dormant the last little bit, but we got some fun stuff coming up. Got a new DVD finally, and then everything's going to YouTube too. So I finished up the new DVD this weekend, so that'll be available. But we've also got a bunch of old stuff on YouTube and some new stuff coming, so that's kind of fun and exciting. And
yeah, dude, I'm gonna try to talk him into letting me watch it tonight, but
charge him admission.
So
I'll pay you double. Anyway, Born and Raised DVDs are arguably the best when it comes to hunting elk. They're right up there near the top for me, because the production quality is always good, because Kody's a talented filmmaker, but it's also just raw and real, and there's not these recreates, and it's just genuine guys getting out and getting it done. And so it's just a neat thing, and it's on public land. They're not paying these big ranching fees or private property access fees and stuff like that. And so I can relate to it a lot. So it's really good stuff, and I'm excited that they finally came. It's been a drought for a while, guys.
Way too long.
Look forward to it.
Way too long.
Yeah, I was gonna say, about time, man. Gee.
It's been a long one coming, but we're excited about it. Excited about the future, and I mean the biggest thing, being able to share our adventures that everyone can relate to. I mean, and we're no different than any other hunting camp out there. A group of guys doing it. We just happen to carry a camera around. So,
I don't know, Kody. You have Ty Stubblefield, so you are different than any other hunting group out
Yes,
there.
that is true.
Yeah, there is always that naked guy running around camp.
Well, all right, guys. Well, appreciate everyone coming on the podcast, and good luck this season, and stay gritty.
Stay gritty.
Thanks, guys.
Stay gritty.
Okay, friends, the discount code is GRITTY40. It's the word gritty, GRITTY, and the number 40. With this discount code, you'll save 40% off the course. The code expires on Halloween night. It's $59 with the code and $99 without it. It's worth every penny. Stay gritty. Okay, gritty friends, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobsen is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. If you haven't heard, we're doing a huge gear giveaway to try and grow and expand the gritty community on Facebook and Instagram. I asked a bunch of friends to pitch in on this gear giveaway, and they all came through with some awesome stuff. Our friends at Kifaru, Rockslide, First Light, Phelps Game Calls, One Shot Gear, Mountain Ops, XXX Archery, Blacktail Outdoors, and Is It September Yet are pitching in some sweet gear for the giveaway. We'll announce all the details in the next few weeks. All you have to do to be entered to win is like our Gritty Bowman Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.